Hey everybody, I'm Sean Robinson.
I'm Carson Grubaugh. Welcome to Living the Line. We have an exciting announcement today, and we're going to be asking for your support on a really awesome project.
It's true. We have our exciting guest today, which is our Kickstarter campaign that has not yet launched, but will be launched by the time you see this video. The Abolition of Man, the first AI illustrated comic returns. So Carson, how long had you had access to This is almost 10 months ago now. How long had you had access to Midjourney AI before we had decided that we were going to make a comic series out of this?
Probably like 4 or 5 minutes. I typed in Masamune Shiro, I think was the first thing I typed in, probably because we had just been talking to Brandon about Appleseed.
Right.
And the image I got back was so cool and crazy. I sent it to Sean, and immediately we were both like, oh shit, we need to make a comic. And within another 2 minutes from there, I was like, I know exactly what I want to do. I knew immediately that I wanted to use CS's, the third portion of C.S. Lewis's Abolition of Man, because that was the book that around 20 years ago set me down the path of the philosophy of information, information ethics, AI ethics, and stuff. And it's been something I've been thinking about for 20 years. So this book allowed me, immediately knew what I needed to do with it. And it allowed me to wrap up, I think, 20 years of my thinking. And so that all just downloaded, into our brains
Yeah.
what the structure of this was going to be, yeah, within minutes. And so now we're doing a collected version of the 5-issue series. Here is the digital mock-up of what it should look like. It's going to be a very, very sexy book in faux, like reddish leather with foils stamping all over it, and then a debossed black in it to get this image on the cover there. Beautiful spine that Sean designed. Um, some really beautiful end papers as well that aren't shown here, but it's going to be a just sexy thing on the shelf. Besides being, I want to say, one of the smartest comics.
And yeah, the series itself, if you hadn't didn't follow along, was all illustrated in in June of 2022, and so each of those issues essentially extends the extended argument of the book itself and complicates the previous sections. But I would say
Mhm.
that the C.S. Lewis a portion of the C.S. Lewis essay is the philosophical touchstone of the entire series.
In issue 2 and 3, these are based on stories that Sean and I loosely, well, really
Yeah.
tightly based. In my case, issue 2 based on a story I wrote 20 years ago in 2003, and then issue 3 was based on a story you wrote
20
23,
something.
20 something, yeah.
Yeah, basically using that as the generative seed, hopping it onto your existing idea, and your existing idea being basically like, what do people do when there's nothing to do?
And I think what we wound up with was a 2-issue story that the elevator pitch would be, it's Black Mirror meets The Office. Issue 4 is we had the AI write the story and illustrate the story, and we didn't put any pictures from that on here because they're too grotesque to look at. And then issue 5, and this is why I'm claiming it's the smartest comic, is we were very lucky to have an acquaintance of mine, Luciano Floridi, provide an essay for us to illustrate in the same way we did issue 1, by putting sentence at a time. But Luciano has just left Oxford. He left his position at Oxford to found the Center for Digital Ethics at Yale University. So I don't think we could get a more high-level expert on the topic contributing
Yeah.
to the book. And his essay has been another one that's been foundational for my understanding moving forward. Like, this is the perfect thing at the end of the series, is I wasn't quite sure what to do with all of this, and I think Luciano provides some answers for us,
Yeah.
at least, about how to conceptualize ourselves in the world where AI moves forward. And then this deluxe hardcover edition is going to collect a whole bunch of extra content. I did the actual series art with Midjourney, but we did 10 copies only, where the entire interior of issue 1 was re-illustrated with Dolly 2, just to see the difference between the two technologies, the two AI bots. We've got 10 pages of that, just so you can
Hmm.
get a look at what it was. We also have the first 2 episodes of our Patreon web exclusive Pranay Day, which is a character from issue 2 and 3 that we've put in a Groundhog Day loop.
Right.
And we just, every time Mid-Journey updates, we do a new one, or I just switch styles every now and then, and our patrons can vote on what Pranay tries differently in the next iteration of the Groundhog Day loop. So the first 2 episodes of that are in there. And then there's a 40 some odd page collection of 2 essays that I wrote, pieces of philosophy that I wrote between 2007 and 2016 that were the things, like I said, I've been thinking about these things for 20 years. I have a degree in philosophy. I've been engaged with Luciano's philosophy of information for since 2010. So it's coming from a very academic place, talking about the things I was concerned about that are now a reality. And going back and rereading some of that, I was like, holy shit, I got that really, really right.
Rather spooky. Yeah.
And then we have some really cool extras to go with it as well. So, John, why don't you tell us a bit about what we can buy here in the campaign?
You can just get a standard tier version of the book. If you are in the US, this is free shipping. We're just going to send it to you. You'll get it probably 2 weeks in advance of anybody else, a week or 2 in advance of anybody else. And that's at cover price. This is just the cover price. You know, and this is just a way for you guys to support us directly.
And also help us, like, support the print run, basically.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, this will be sold. You can also get it on Amazon. You can get it through your local comic store. You can order it through Barnes and Noble.
That's right.
But the Kickstarter is something to help us fund the printing of the book. Right. And then also we wanted to do a special edition for the people who really enjoy the project, who are big supporters of us, and who want some interesting extras as well. So tell us about the sexy here.
Yeah, this is interesting. So we had so much different possibilities. One of those is the script book there that you see on the right. And this essentially collects the original short stories that inspired the 2 Hot Tech issues, and also has the entire script from Deep Story AI that was responsible for issue 4. So if you want to know how that monstrosity came about, you can actually see it and read it. And this is coming along with a deluxe, or with a signed edition of it, and it comes with a book plate as well that Carson drew. This is the only thing that was actually drawn by anybody for the project. And here's the book plate. And
designed, like, there was no AI involved in this. This is all my design.
And so that's going to be, this edition is limited to 200 copies. And we are also going to include a I Survived the Essential Meaninglessness of Existence bumper sticker / bookmark. You can use it however you want. I feel like my entire life was upended in May 2022. And everything that I thought about the nature of work and art and, creative human impulse, and even like how we read, was wrong. And yet somehow I have survived. Meaning is what you make it. And there are intrinsic values to self-improvement that have nothing to do with the things that I thought were the value before. And so I thought I Survived the Essential Meaninglessness of Existence was a pretty good way to sum up the past 10 months.
I'll also point out that it's worth it to get the script book to see that AI generated script, because there are guardrails on the AI, and I couldn't fully enter the descriptions it gave me. The script that it produced is absolutely horrific. I mean, disgusting, grotesque. And I could not, as grotesque as the art in issue 4 is, it would have been worse if I could have entered that script in its totality. And I think it's worth it for people to see that and see what an AI is capable of doing. That one must not have guardrails on it or something, because it's quite terrifying. And I think that was important to us to get out. And then we have some really cool add-ons.
The Luddites were right. I'm going to buy one of these.
Yeah, absolutely. I want one of these for sure. This was Sean's idea. I believe we should make a Luddites are right shirt, and then I was able to generate this is entirely generated with Midjourney. There's no human design here other than me choosing a font for it. And this is the first official Living the Line apparel. And then I'm really excited about this one. I am also going to be getting myself one of these because this is the most ridiculous thing we could do. It's a 16 by 20 blacklight poster, also designed by the AI. And it's using the slogan that's in issue 2 and 3 of Abolition, the Hodtech storyline. The company there, basically the world there kind of runs on this corporate religious philosophy of in a world where there's nothing new under the sun, choose to change the sun. And in the way that you're like, I survived the essential meaninglessness of existence is kind of like your quote of how you come out of this. That's been my kind of personal slogan for a long time, is that responsibility for meaning that you were talking about is up to us. And if you don't like the way the world is going, that means it's operating under the wrong sun. You feel like you've run out of options. You need to reevaluate the worldview you're operating under. And to me, that's what it means to change the sun. For collectors who would like some of these, because there weren't many copies in existence, and it is, we think, something that will be historically important. If you want the actual floppies, we have 30 packages of the full 5 issues there, and I'll be signing them all. So if you want ones with signatures on them, either come to Mocha in a couple weeks, or you can order like a signed pack of the book. We will use whatever name you have on your survey at the end. And that will be put into Midjourney. I have found a famous portrait artist whose style I like and produces quite funny images, I think. And so I will be using that prompt and whatever name you have on your survey at the end there to produce a portrait with Midjourney version 5. And if Midjourney, by the time the campaign over, has gone to 6, then we'll use that. We'll use whatever the most current version of it is. And you can compare this to the imagery that's in the book, which was produced with Midjourney version 2, and see by the time we're fulfilling this campaign, it will be probably right about a year, a little bit over a year since the tech is made. So you'll be able to see how far AI prompt-based image making has come within a year.
And that will be bound into your book along with your signed book plate.
It feels a bit silly to say it because I only drew one thing for it, but I've never been prouder of something that I've put out into the world, because this truly is the culmination of 20 years of my artistic endeavor. And more importantly, my artistic endeavor has always been, I've always said I'm a philosopher first. It's just art is how I did philosophy. That's the way that I worked through the problems and expressed what I was thinking. And this is the culmination, seriously, of 20 years of thought that started with that first. It started with that story that I wrote 20 years ago that became Hodtech. That was the first kind of bit of revelation I had about where we were headed. And I'm really grateful for the opportunity to finally be able to say these things publicly, finally have that voice out there. So any support people can give us to help getting this thing printed, help getting that message out there, help me finish that vision, much, much appreciated.
Books are funded by you guys' support and by the early orders from comic stores. And, that's what makes a book happen.
And Sean's a one-man operation over there, like living the line. The publishing company is Sean in the attic of his house there.
Yeah.
And really like extend that to the channel here, and it's mostly a 2-man operation with me and Sean. So that support from you all, that's the third man, that's like, instead of having workers in good company, we rely on the support, and appreciate that because it's been growing.
And so thanks for listening, thanks for watching, and thanks for pledging if you're able.
And now there's going to be a little thing up here that says go support now. Click on that and get yourself one of those sexy hardcovers. And especially if you have the money, get yourself one of those sexy book plated ones, because it's really It's going to be a beautiful product. Run the really cool promo that Matt Battaglia made for us.
Whole new world. 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 For you and me.